Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I apologize for not streaming last week. I ended up having to go through and put my dog down. So we knew it was coming. Vet had warned us about it several weeks prior, and it just, I'll spare you the details, but he was showing signs of end of life. So wasn't really in the streaming mood that day, so I decided just to cancel. But back again today and looking to go through and do some more material design and XAML work. So there's a lot of stuff that's been cropping up. I've been wanting to kick out a release because there has been a huge number of contributions for features and enhancements to the library, which has been absolutely amazing. But there's also some bugs that I've tagged in the next upcoming milestone that I want to take a look at and release, including the combo box issue that we were looking at 2 weeks ago, I believe. So, previous stream. So, with that, I figured we would go through and take a look at the bugs. Not sure what order we're going to do them in. I'm probably going to start with easiest and work my way backwards, just so that I can feel like I'm making progress. So, let's dive on in, and we will see where we go. So let's start here, and we'll just jump in. Real quick, side detour, small detour. I did start going through and putting themes in here, starting to put breaking changes in here. One request that is repeatedly cropped up over and over in various forms has been the very simple, how do I change the color of insert control element here, right? There's a huge number of those things where it would be very nice to expose all of those, and there's not a consistent way to change a lot of the colors. Some of them you go through and make changes with like attached properties. Some of them are theme brushes. If it's a theme brush, it's not always apparent which theme brush maps to which control element, so you kind of have to divine that information or go digging through the templates. And I've been wanting to go through and break that down into a little bit easier. Ooh, taskless. Give feedback. I want taskless. I see the 5 tasks. Oh, because these, oh, look at this. These things can be individually converted into issues. Yes, I love it, GitHub. I love it. Thank you. So, some sort of hierarchy. Perfect. We'll give feedback later. But the short version, GitHub, like it. Mwah. Very nice. Not sure I'm a fan of this icon. A circle with a dot in the middle just doesn't do anything to tell me that that's create nested item. I don't know about that. I'll think about it. So for the 5.0 release, one thing that I am contemplating doing is a significant rework of the theme brush names, because a lot of the theme brush names don't really, they're based on some naming that has since been dropped by Material Design. So some of them are holdover brushes. Some of them are pretty descriptive in what they are. Some of them are not. And so I've been wanting to go through and change things up. So if people have feedback on how to name them, one popular option, let's see, Wpf, they have a somewhat clever way of, their theme manager, they go through and they do their brushes named this way, where it would end up being like material design.brushes.accent one, or to make it very clear where things are going, Wpf brushes textbox.border. Very clear at that point. That brush better be setting the border of the text box, or I'm very, very disappointed. So just to have those sort of things separated out might make, I'm thinking of doing something similar to that, just to make it a little bit more obvious, and then ideally exposing that in the demo app with Show Me the XAML a little bit more, just so that when you're in the demo app looking at it, one click button, you can see what all the brushes do, what they're all set to, and just kind of expanding out how that goes. That's what I'm thinking. We'll see what kind of incarnation that comes into. The other thing that I'd love to circle back to is WinUI 3. There was a previous stream where we worked on just getting the basic button control going, which was great. And it took a bit of effort to start to get some of those foundational building blocks in place. And hopefully it gets easier as we go. So if you are excited and would be willing to use this in WinUI 3 or are willing to help contribute to it, let me know. I'd love to get some people to help out, because if it's just me, it's going to take a while. I don't have a ton of free time. So, with that said, I have been tagging... Wait, did I not... Oh, I should have put this one in the milestone. This was one I was going to look at. So we'll milestone that guy. So there are several bugs that has been problematic, and I wanted to go through and take a look at each of these. Let's just see real quick what all is left in this milestone that I've tagged. So bug, and this is assuredly a bug too. So the only things that are outstanding in here are these ones, and I kind of wanted to start with this Draggables one. So because this one will probably be the most interesting to try and resolve. So the author who still owns the material design project is also the author of the Draggables. And when I first took over, the guidance was you don't need a tab style. Draggables covers everything. The problem is Draggables hasn't been getting the same love that this library has, and so it's starting to get obsoleted via time. So we might break some small rules. We'll see. Because I've been trying to do my best to adhere to the guidelines as given, but there are some issues of things that have cropped up. So we will take a look at this. One other thing that I would be curious to hear from people on. So there is a material design extensions. Actually, hang on. There's a link to it in the README. It was so good, we just added it to the README. Yeah, this guy. So this is a community project here with and as you can see, some of these things are just days ago, with lots of cool extensions being added into it. So I would be curious, if you are using this library, are there controls in here that you wish would be inside of the main library? I'm not going to commit to pulling them in, but specifically there's like the tab control one, there's a material design window one, a navigation window one. So if these are things that people are actively leveraging, let me know. Either comment on the 5.0 issue of things that you might like to see pulled in, because I would be very okay with seeing if there are active community things that people are using, making things easy. So, with that said, and not trying to pull away from material design extensions. If you haven't seen the library, go check it out. It's awesome. Because it really is nice. I might have to change this. I think we may have actually killed all references to Control-EX. I think I've whacked them all at this point. I think we may have. Oh, there's a few left floating around, but for the most part, we've whacked most of them. Okay. So enough chit chat. Let's run this one through. So tab selection highlight is gone, at least in the 4.1.0 release. So that's bad. That was almost assuredly something that was done on accident. You can see the change here. So specifically the highlight in question that's being called out is this guy right here, this little underline at the bottom. That is ultimately what is missing that we are looking to pick up. So let's see if we can. If anybody wants to follow along at home. There we go. I mostly got my chat window working. I want a little bit darker background. Other than that, getting closer. I'm bad at CSS, so I go slow. Okay, so let's fire this guy up. Specifically, I'm going to switch over to the other MAApps Draggables demo, which I have to admit I am horrible about testing in, which is likely how this bug crept through. So we may end up going through and going as far as writing a UI test over this. We'll see. I've been doing a bunch of work on my Xaml Test library, and it is very, very close to the 1.0 release. We're just going to collapse that guy. There's a binding error already. Interesting. Checkbox foreground. Okay. So also one other thing I'm just going to call out right here. You'll note I am on preview. If my Visual Studio looks different than yours, it is because I am on Visual Studio 2022. If you have not downloaded it, I highly, highly recommend it. It is awesome. The sheer performance is amazing. The IntelliCode improvements, absolutely amazing. Loving it. I have run into a few bugs. Very few things don't fix themselves by just closing and relaunching Visual Studio, and then you get to witness its startup performance all over again. It's great. The other thing I will point out is not all the preview features are on by default, but if you open up your options window underneath environment preview features, you can see a list of them here. Oh, I don't even have them all turned on. Ooh, we are turning some of these on. Boom. Let's see. Do I care about all of these things? I kind of care about that. Kind of care about that. Prioritize performance. I love that this is a checkbox. Yes. Prioritize performance. Please. Yes, yes. Oh, and the new dark theme. Yes. And updated icons, and obviously XAML preview features for obvious reasons. So we'll reboot here in a little bit. But with that said, let's circle back to this. So the issue is right here. On these tabs, there should be an underline at the bottom. It is not there. That's a bug. Okay, so let's start with this. So everybody's favorite Snoop. And for those people new to Snoop, the easiest thing to do once you get it installed is you grab the crosshairs that are next to the binoculars. Not the ones next to this little magnifying glass up here. The binocular ones. Drag it over the window in question. Anywhere on the window is fine. It's just targeting the window. And then let go, and Snoop will do its thing. So the window likes to sit on top. I thought one of the latest options had... can't remember. I thought there was a option in one of the latest versions to, oh, there it is, set owner window. So this is what ultimately makes the Snoop window sit on top of everything. So if you care, that's one thing to think about adjusting. Not a big deal. Okay, but in our case, what we are interested in is this guy up here, and we are going hunting for whatever is that little underline at the bottom, because that guy should be there and should be getting set. So we're going to back this up. So on the left side of Snoop here is a visual tree. So these are the actual elements that are being rendered. So if you look at the XAML that you write, that tends to correspond to the logical tree, whereas the visual tree tends to be the logical tree expanded out. So things inside of templates, for example, that wouldn't exist in the logical tree, you will find in the visual tree. So this guy here is going to be the top level element. Excuse me. The other thing that you'll note that's really fun is as you hover over the items, you can actually get a little kind of preview of what the item is. So as you start to work your way up, you can start to see, okay, this is palette. This is the canvas that contains all three of those. The other thing is there's this little magnifier down here. You can click this guy, and we're going to just change the background from light to dark. And you can start to play around with it. You can even explode these things into a 3D view and start to separate them to see the relationship between items, which can be really handy when you're trying to figure out why one control is either sitting on top of another or what's the relationship between these things. Obviously here I can see that there's a close button, but that the close button is a higher Z order than the text behind it, and the button appears to be made up of a little circle plus a X text on top of it. So one little thing. So we are on the hunt for trying to figure out what is supposed to be set here. So there is inside of the Draggables item, which I'm pretty sure we're not going to be all the way up at the canvas. That's a little high. So here we got 3 items. kind of makes sense. You can see the canvas wraps all three of these things. That's probably not what we're looking for. We're more likely on the hunt for something inside. I'm going to go with selection outline border. That sounds right. So let's see here. So background here. And the parent, I can't see what it's tied to, but its parent template is clearly what's doing it. So, but this gives me enough that we can probably go and track down what it's supposed to be doing. So let's go here, GitHub, Draggables, boom. And then we're just gonna do this freehand, because I think we can probably find it pretty easily. So we're going to go into themes, and then let's see, material design perhaps. We are looking for the element that is actually tied to the Draggables element. So Draggables items. So let's actually, I'm going to move this to the side here. You sit over there for a minute. So if I go here and I check out this guy's style, what style is getting applied to this? So that's a pretty good hint right there. So material design Draggables tab item style. So here's a hint. Material design drag tab item this thingy. Okay. So now that we know that and we know where in the visual tree we're looking, so inside of this guy there should be a, so if I scroll it over, selected highlight border. So down here we should see the grid, and then we should, inside of the grid we should see a border, and then this other border. So I see a grid, a border, and then adjacent to this border is a second border. So this guy here is looking for the Material Design Assist indicator brush. Okay, so he's going after an attached property. That attached property, no bueno. Okay, so let's go figure out what happened. Well, that'll do it. So that guy does not appear to exist. Where did my Solution Explorer, get over here. Back over on this side, where you belong. Okay, so let's go look at our... So I'm guessing, maybe we go back over here. So I'm guessing this guy here hopefully exists somewhere else. Let's back up here, and I'm going to just minimize Snoop to get it out of my way. I'm assuming there should be a Material Design Assist. There it is. Indicator brush. So that's where that guy is there. And so in theory, something should be setting this. Nothing appears to be setting this, and that is probably what's blowing this thing up. So let's just see what is supposed to be setting this. So by default, it looks for a secondary accent brush. So if we look at this guy here, boom. So that same style up at the top, we can see that the default setter for that attached property is the secondary accent brush. That's what's expected to be set by the theme, which apparently is not. So let's go look at our brushes, because I'm pretty sure I know exactly which change broke this. We cleaned up some old brushes, specifically as a breaking change for the 4.0 release. I'm pretty sure I know which one broke this. So I believe it's buried under theme assist, something. Change theme. Let's see. No, this isn't quite where I was looking to go. It's the resource dictionary. I just realized we've got a weird mix of extensions versus assist. I'm going to add that to my list. Get you open here real quick, because I don't want to do type name changes, but I do want to call out that there is a distinction there. Leave myself a note for later. Okay. So, resource dictionary extension set theme. Yeah, so that is what is breaking this. So what is the appropriate fix? I'm wondering if the appropriate fix is to not fix it. Because this is wanting an old brush name, secondary accent brush. Which we no longer have anymore. And I want to go back because I think this was called out in some older breaking changes. Let's see. So this here is the change. Secondary, so just to be clear, so this is the old one here. I'm already lost. What was the one that it was on? Secondary accent brush. So that's why I've got multiple Chrome or Edge windows going here. So let's put you up here, you up here, and I don't care about you anymore. Okay, so secondary accent brush. Secondary accent brush. So let's document this in case somebody comes across this again. By the breaking change in 2080. So we knew this was a breaking change. Okay, so appropriate fixes. 1, there should probably be an update to Draggables, because this is going to be broken now for everyone. I'm really hesitant to... I'm really hesitant to put the theme brush back in just to support this, because secondary accent brush, and this should be secondary hue mid brush. And here, let's call it out. Let's be very explicit. Is using okay, so Draggables is making the assumption that we find, let's see, and let's go down here. this brush was renamed to secondary hue mid brush. Okay, but with that said, I believe we can work around this. So let's do a sample of that because I think that's important. So if we go here, let's see, solid color brush, X key, boom, secondary accent brush, right? And we can do, let's prove that this does in fact fix our problem. I don't think it's going to be, oh look at that, it does update for me. How nice. Sweet. Okay. So if you define the brush in your resources, it will magically start working, which is good, but this isn't quite what we want. However, I believe we also set this color in. Secondary mid brush, I believe this gets set as, yeah, there's a second one there. So we should be able to go dynamic resource, grab this guy here, and go color. And I believe that will just work. Let's relaunch. I'm wondering if something in the back of my mind is telling me that color isn't a dependency property, therefore this doesn't work, or something like that. For target element. Secondary accent brush. So let's, well, that guy's clearly not doing what I wanted, so Snoop, come back. Let's go and check this, because I think what I would like to do is at least present, even though I don't think we're fixing this in this release, because I don't want to just put an old brush back to support an old library that's not updating. In my opinion, library should update. So this guy is picking up the brush. Secondary accent brush transparent. Well, that would be why it doesn't appear to show up. Okay. Let's see here. What? Draggables, material design. That's fine. So this little red here is coming from Snoop being selected on here, not from anything else. Just if that isn't clear, so we'll turn that on. Make that smaller for the moment. Okay, so that is not... for some reason, not picking it up. Okay, so let's go down here. And this guy here should be... so it's... I didn't point it at the wrong theme brush, did I? I'm not... Secondary accent brush color. I'm pretty sure... I'm pretty sure that is not true. So secondary hue, mid brush. I'm just gonna relaunch this guy because we should be hitting this line. Yeah. Okay. So that should have a bundled theme of secondary hue, mid brush, plus color. That's what I put in here, right? Oh. Gotta not be dumb. Spelling counts. You don't have to spell accurately, you have to spell consistently. That's the rule in software engineering. There it is. And now if I do accent, oh, it's not updating. I kind of expected it to update. Is it not? Oh, this code may not be doing... Okay, let's just make sure it's coming through this code again. It might not be. No, it is. Continue. So let's just pin that sucker there for a moment. Grab my snoop. And let's just look and see if this is an issue with the app resources. So, boy, I wish I could sort these alphabetically. Secondary accent brush. I would like to... Nope. Thank you very much. Color. So let's see. Blue. So let's see. 00BOFF. Secondary. Oh, where is it? Secondary hue, mid brush. There's dark brush. Secondary hue. Light. What I wouldn't give to be able to sort this right now. This guy. Let's see. What color is that? I'm a little surprised that these ones are all at this root level, but this could just be the Snoop's display of them? Question? Let's see. So, but what is this RGB value? So red at full, green at full. So this is resolving, and it's just resolving to the wrong thing. So what is putting these things at this level? The only thing that should be adding this in is this bundled theme up here. My apps bundled theme. Interesting that these things are getting set at the app resource dictionary level. Kind of want to just grab it here and see where it's coming in from. I'm wondering if this is just doing it wrong. So let's do something very, very obvious. Let's go like solid red. Something that should be very high in the red color. So primary mid should be, well, I'm just gonna grab that real quick. Come here, VS Code. I need you. You're gonna serve as a clipboard for the moment. There. So we'll paste that guy on there. So that's our mid color. Okay, you sit there, and let's go through here. What resource dictionary are we set to? There's a bunch of stuff here. There's a pretty high count at the root dictionary. So there's the bundled theme. So this is, in fact, the root level dictionary. I wonder if we may have just accidentally stumbled upon a bug. So we come into here, this sets it at the root, and should change it. But I'm willing to bet order of operations is going to matter. If I were able to... Let me restart the app. I'm willing to bet what's happening is the thing that we've added is coming in. Sup, Robert? We are chasing bugs. And in this case, we're chasing stupid. Mostly mine. Because, so, here's what I think is happening. I added this lovely bundled theming thingy, right? It's a derived class of a resource dictionary, which is great. Take one down, pass it around, plus 2 bugs. Amen. So this guy derives from resource dictionary, so he's just a base class, and all he does is have some convenience properties on him, such that when you get all of the properties set, so it doesn't matter what order, because they all call the set theme method, but once you get them all set, it builds up a theme, calls apply theme, and calls set theme, and applies them to the current resource dictionary. So in the case of the app.xaml, this resource dictionary will get all of the appropriate brushes for an inherited base theme with a deep purple primary and a purple secondary. Simple. But what we're noticing is that there are a sizable number of resources that are getting added at the root level dictionary. And the whole reason this matters is there's a bug around another library called Draggables. Draggables expects this brush to be defined. In the 4.0 release, we renamed all our brushes to standardize on naming, which was great, except for this name no longer existed. Draggables fell over because the name was no longer there. So what I'd like to do is just... so I don't think we're fixing the bug to begin with. Start with that. But what I'd like to do is leave a sample of how to fix it, or at least work around the issue until Draggables updates. To say, hey, if they need this brush, go ahead and just define it here, dynamic resource off onto something that we know will be there. The problem is, this doesn't appear to be updating for us. Yeah, and I just hit this breakpoint a second time, and I have a sinking suspicion. No, that came in. That's fine. Okay, where did this one come from? Ah, that's what's happening. So, then what happens on startup, as I've just recently discovered. So, initially, this guy gets its properties set. He applies all the brushes, creates them in here, which is fine. That's what we expect. But then this palette helper this lovely little view model. Because of its little constructor, it sets a property, which is great. The property then comes in here and goes apply base theme, which is a little obnoxious. And this apply base theme uses the set base theme extension, yada, yada, yada. But the call stack, let's follow this. Apply base, modify theme. Calls down here to set theme, but it goes through the palette helper. Now the palette helper comes in here, grabs the application current.resources, which is going to be this resource dictionary at the top rather than this merged one at the bottom. It's going to apply all the brushes to it, which is one level too high. And I'm pretty sure what's happening is because those brushes are going to get appended. I'm pretty sure this dynamic resource is just never updating and is still pointed at the stuff that's up here. So here's what I'm going to try. We're going to test that theory. We're going to get rid of that. Because knowing that the palette helper's constructor does that means there will be a call that sets it. And of course it's going to fail. Because this guy is trying to look up. This guy here is trying to look up the existing theme and can't do it. Okay. Okay, so I think what I want to do is go to this palette helper and see if I can change this. So how about application current I wonder if it's worth hunting through its merged dictionaries. Normally you shouldn't do this. But I'm wondering. Okay, we're just going to start hacking some code here real quick. I said we weren't going to fix the bug, and I think we're going to fix a different bug. Material design theme dictionary. This is internal, it doesn't matter. Oh. Internal. Hide that thing real quick for me. We're just going to see if this works. Obviously, there's more work that would need to be done here, but I'm curious if this works. Of type. Boom. First or default. So we're going to just go hunting and say, is there something out there already? And we're only going to check one level deep. Let's see. Resource, dictionary. And then we are going to do one of these maneuvers. I guess I can't do of type and then a first or default. But I can do this. X is, boom. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I want that thing. So something like that, and then this guy becomes rd set theme. This guy becomes, put that there, rd get theme. Obviously this logic should be moved into a shared method. Again, we're just hacking for testability for the moment. Oh, hang on. I saw that. I saw you, IntelliCode. You got me. Thank you, IntelliCode. You're awesome. Figured out the refactoring I was doing and decided it wanted to get in on the fun. Okay. So this should stop putting the resources on the root dictionary, which would be ideal. So now when we come in here, I expect you to be my app's bundled theme. Great. So this is the derived class, which is perfect. Great. Once again, came on in under the derived class, which is great, Okay, so now we've got our underline, which is great. That's what we expect. I changed the theme. Good. Well, doesn't that just bite? And I guess it kind of makes sense why it would still fail. Oh, of course. Because it doesn't know that there's been a change. Duh. Okay. I'm just dumb. So this sets once, but in Draggables, they've got their attached property set with a dynamic resource. As far as it knows, that resource hasn't changed. I've mutated it, but I have not changed it. That dumb. Okay. So this dynamic resource, though updating, not going to update. And let's just confirm that. So if we come in here, and I look at the resources here, and we look at this guy's color. Let's see, AA00FF. Is that yellow? I don't know. Let's pick it up down here. Primary mid. No, so that didn't even pick up the change. Yeah, so that guy didn't even pick it up. Though it does certainly clean up our... So I may still want to make a similar change. It's not a bad idea. It cleans up our spam of extra resources. And I can do it internal and hide away the implementation so it's not a breaking change. Unless somebody's relying on them being in the root resource dictionary, which you shouldn't be. And it's kind of hard to do. Resource dictionaries inherently want to look up through their hierarchy. So unless somebody's being hyper specific. Okay, so, but we still have this issue here. So, okay. So if I wanted to fix this in my app, what is the appropriate way to go through and do it? Because I should leave a sample in here. At some point, I want to obsolete the palette helper, but let's see, get theme manager. And I suppose we should appropriately null check this. So if theme manager is not null, theme manager assignment. And we go theme manager, theme changed. Sure. Let's go with this guy here. So what we should do is we should go with application current resources. Boom, boom. Grab secondary. Nope. Just wanted to copy. Secondary accent brush. Oh, I guess we don't need that because we're inside of the application. And we should go, and actually I suppose we could just do resources. Gets e dot new theme, and we were tying it to secondary hue mid brush. So what gets set there? Where did it go? Don't care. There it is. Oh, secondary mid color. So we'll come down here. Secondary mid dot color, and we'll do new solid color brush. And this should pick it up. Fix the nullability. You happy now? Okay. I could probably get rid of helper and just do new palette helper. So get rid of you, continue. Okay, so what we want to see is we want to go yellow. Boom. So this is actually probably a good change to check in because it serves as a reasonable example for others. And I'm pretty sure because of where this guy sits, we don't need this anymore. But let's confirm that. One bug down, one can of Mountain Dew down. So it's still there, perfect. Boom. Okay, so we want to reference that bug in our add update brush used by Draggables theme changes solution for boom. There. I think that's probably reasonable. So let's do this. So we're going to stage these. I think I'm going to do these changes here, but I think I want to do them in a more direct approach. So we're going to put them on a separate branch. So create branch. Let's do fix and 2349, 2349. Boom. So putting in a sample for working around Draggables using an old brush name. So we will do that, we will push that, and then we will PR that in, and that will fix that. A sample to the demo app to show how to work around the issue. This is other occurrences. Okay, so we'll do that. We'll do that. We will just in case it changes over time, we'll leave a copy of it sitting over here. So I'm going to do this. Then I'm going to simplify this down so that people don't copy bits and pieces that they shouldn't. That looks better. Comment. Let's see, pull request, compare and pull request. $23.49. So this is going into the milestone, create pull request, and then we'll let that guy PR and merge. Okay, so back to what we were looking at though a second ago. So the one thing I do want to look at doing is changing up the bundled theme and the palette helper, because the palette helper is a bit of a hack. It's a bit of a hack because it's only there to support static references for accessing the theme, which is fine because most of the time that's what people need, and they don't need specific resource dictionary targeting. But the theming is important to understand in WPF is targeted at a resource dictionary. So because of that, you could theoretically have one theme applied at the app level and a different theme applied at two different windows, for example. That's totally a thing you could do. It's a bit more of an edge case, but a thing you can do. So get resource dictionary. Boom. We're going to do that. We'll do lambda like that. We're going to just clean some of this up a little bit. So this guy becomes, boom, get resource dictionary. And I'm going to clean up some of these exception messages. Because I feel like this really should be a name of operation here. I don't want to get into a situation where I am renaming these methods and then not realizing that I've got usages of them outside. So we're going to just grab these guys here. So we'll clean this up just a little bit. If we're going to be in here doing it, let's we are going to do, let's see, that one. Apparently we had some disjoint already between these messages, so that's exciting. Get theme. For people who are wondering what I'm doing, it's Windows key V. So if you haven't seen it before, that is the magical built-in multi-clipboard inside of Windows 10. So we're going to come over here. Okay, so all that's cleaned up. Okay, so that's a little better there. And then we want to, because I set this thing up, I'm going to move you to your own file. And then more importantly, I want to go and apply this because bundled theme is not the only one. We have custom color theme as well. I'm wondering if this should be public. It's a marker interface without a lot of issues. The only reason to not make it public is because then I have to support it, but is there really that much to support? A new interface can technically be a breaking change, but we're doing it. I feel like every time I say but I end up introducing something that somebody's going to yell at me for a little bit later, which happens quite consistently. Open source development, you get to discover all the wonderful ways you can accidentally break other people's applications. It's wonderful. Okay, so that should be fine there. So let's go back here. So these changes here are actually on top of this other branch, but I want these changes to be on top of master. So in Git Kraken, if you just click back where your master is and right click there and go create branch. So better resource application. So it actually moves me back, creates a branch at this point, and because there's no conflicts, these things just all jump right on over. Which is perfect. So quite often, if I've got a bunch of changes that I want to split into multiple branches, that's how I'll go through and do it. Adding support in the let's see. To update custom theme. Let's see, custom themes. This saves on adding duplicate resources to the root application. Boom. Commit, push. We'll see if the... So I'm intentionally going through and PRing these because I don't want to accidentally... Let's see, close that, close that. Let's see, pull requests. Set milestone there, create pull request. So as soon as these guys complete, we will go through and merge those in. Okay. Let's keep going. So, because I said I would look at that other bug, and I try to be honest. Okay, so combo box with menu, that's one we were looking at before. We might circle back on this. This one here seems pretty bad to me. This one here is also pretty bad. Trying to decide which one I want to address first. Let's do the hittable area reduced. No. Oh, I can't decide. We'll go here. We'll go here. Okay. So the one with offset, one without, and they actually look the same. So step one, let's reproduce the bug. So conveniently, we've been given nice reproduction steps. So we are going to come over here, and I would actually like, before we get too carried away, I want to back up and get back on master for the moment. And then I would like to come into my solution items. So we are leveraging a centralized package management. This is something that's not well known, not well published, kind of still beta. Depends on who you ask and about which part. So this is the built-in centralized package management for NuGet. Effectively, you set up your package versions with this directory packages prop, and then down like here, what you end up doing is you just do package reference and specify the name, so that if I rev the version of my package in one place, all my projects get it. Yes, you can do this with right-click manage NuGet packages on your solution, yada yada yada. This felt cleaner. The big drawback with it, there's no UI support. So you can no longer right-click manage NuGet packages and edit in Visual Studio. So that's kind of a bummer. But you still can do something like use it to go and search NuGet. That's perfectly legit. So for example, what I'm interested in is, I mentioned I've been doing a whole bunch of work on Xaml Test. So I would like to get my latest preview, which is 10.190 it looks like. Let me just confirm that. It's bad when you do the report abuse just to get to the NuGet link. Yeah, so this is the one that I posted just before this started, in case you were wondering. Technically, I committed the change like 30 minutes before that, but that's how long it took my pipelines to catch up to me. Okay, so we're going to come back over here, and we are going to go with Xaml Test, and we're just going to rev that version right there. So now, like magic, all my packages or all my projects have the new one. You'll note it's Visual Studio sees the change and goes, "Oh, let me fix it for you. Everything's broken." Not everything's broken. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. You're fine. I should have probably tagged it so it wouldn't have to look like a preview release, but whatever. We're going. Okay, so there's that. Now, I would like to come over to my UI test project. And this is under text box. So something else I would love to change is I realized that inside of my Xaml test library, I used to do this same pattern here, where before every test, I would go through and start up a new app, do the change, and then shut it down, which is fine. That works great. The issue is this is spinning a process. So this is dirt slow. Like, really slow. Not horribly slow, but a process can take like 500 milliseconds to start, depending on the machine. So every time your test starts, you're adding half a second before you get going. So it's worth noting, these are not unit tests. These are UI tests. So the basic practices of unit testing of, arrange, act, assert, only test one thing at a time, yeah, throw those out the window. With UI and functional level testing, it's all about checking the flow, not individual components. So it's very legitimate to test multiple things that are part of the same flow, or that could be part of the same flow, so that you don't have to redo all of that work, because quite often it's computationally and time intensive. So just be aware. Okay, so in this case, what we're going to do is we're going to come down here, and we've conveniently been given some nice XAML, so I'll just copy the last test, and we're going to go over here, because I've been trying to be good. Okay, so there's that, squash merge. That should resolve that one. Boom, boom, perfect. Okay, so we were given some nice XAML to work with, so we are going to just say, gen me up a window, make it have that XAML. But we might need to do some cleanup on this, because quoting is hard. Let's see here. That goes there, that goes there. That goes like that, that goes like this. So you'll note that we are using a string literal with the little @ sign at the beginning there. So there's technically a leading new line character right at the beginning of this, which doesn't make a difference inside your XAML. White space is pretty optional in most of the areas, unless you set some specific lang stuff up on it. Don't recommend it. WPF, not designed for that. Okay, so let's get these guys all set up, and then we're just going to write some tests to make sure that these offsets get appropriately applied. Because if I was able to ship with this bug, that means that there should have been a test to stop me from doing it in the future. So before we didn't have a good way of writing tests over our styles and triggers, and so this library has gone for years without any tests, which is fine. Most theming libraries for WPF are not well unit tested because they can't be. It's hard to write tests over styles. That's not a thing that really happens. Look at that. That one fixes too. Squash merge. See that? 2 PRs done. Boom. Delete the branch. All better. And I don't think I hit delete the branch on the other one. So we're going to come down here, delete the branch. Boom. Clean up my mess. Okay, so that handles that. So, they actually look the same. And these floating offsets should look very different. But we are going to see. So let's call this floating offset values applied. And then that's the wrong issue number. And then let's just start with this. So before doing any work, we're just gonna start here. So the big change that I put in Xaml Test that makes me really happy is before, if you were debugging and you stopped your test with just the stop, it would leave the process running. Now the process has an internal heartbeat, and so if it doesn't get a tick and it sees the child process die, which is what happens when your test stops, it'll kill itself, which is much better. So debug test, and then let's go take a look at this. I have to say, when it's easier for me to write the test than to copy this into somewhere in the demo app to test it, that makes me feel really, really good. Makes me very, very happy. And then, of course, naturally, there's tons of errors. Oh, that's because some moron made breaking changes. Okay, so let's delete some local branches here real quick. Delete. Okay, so let's jump over to here, I think. There. Now it should compile. There was a lot. So, as the author of Xaml Test, it's self-inflicted pain. But right now, Xaml Test is not following semantic versioning until I hit version 1.0. Simply because I'm revving APIs, I'm making constant changes. I'm not going to bother to be nice about it in all cases. So, I'm sorry, what? How did I not catch these before? Okay. Oh. I thought I had done these already, so apologize. Some quick refactoring is going to occur here. Let's see, vertical thumb. I added type safety to this, so it makes my life much easier. But it also means that previous extension methods that used to exist no longer exist. Oh, this is because I need to fix this namespace, and this is really biting me. Uh, That is really, really obnoxious that I have to fully qualify something like button. The only reason this is happening is because of this namespace here, and I really should just go change the namespace. It's really obnoxious. Let's see here. So get element thumb. This got renamed recently to left click because I added a lot more. I added a lot more support for various mouse events. How many of these errors are there? I'm wondering if I should just go back and turn off. Why are you not hitting? We're going to fix these ones, and then we are going to move off. So, cursor 2. This is a border. Move cursor 2. Oh, I just realized I've got a... Oh, that is really embarrassing. Okay, so if after this file there's still more items, oh, this is nullable. Now, and that is a struct, so we're just going to do that, and do that. Okay, do you compile now? Yeah, 99 errors. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We are going to go back to where we started. Reset local to here. Pop. And then we are just going to not go with latest thing there. And then I think we're just going to throw away everything here. And then we should be left with just this. More importantly, this should work. And real quick, I'm kind of embarrassed about that move cursor method, so I might just fix it real quick. Okay. So this guy compiles. Go, go, go. Come on, little computer. I'm only asking you to stream and compile one project while loading Visual Studio for another one. What could possibly be so hard about it? I'm sorry, what? Did you not catch that we updated our packages? Just rebuild. You should not be unhappy still. So move. Yeah, we're just gonna fix that small typo there. Yeah, so occasionally you get stuff like this. And I've also noticed that, especially with the outside project load, occasionally you can actually try to kick things off too fast. Like before, most of us are used to, oh yes, please enable. Most of us are used to Visual Studio kind of hanging while it gets itself up and running. Now, with all of the preview stuff turned on, I've noticed occasionally I can get up and running fast enough and hit like F5 before the rest of the stuff is ready. So occasionally that happens. And I much prefer that experience of me outrunning it than it just hanging and going slow. Now, obviously, I'd prefer if it would be intelligent about it ordering its actions, but... Okay, so what is its problem? So the test failed. Just bring this guy over here. Text property has already been set on text box line 23. Oh, so that should be like that. That should be like that. And actually, I'm realizing this is probably going to be unhappy, so let's go with stack panel in the middle, right? Because this is setting up window content. Do something like that. Move you off to the side. And here we go. Okay, so, but conveniently we've got our window. So I agree that that does look off. Pun intended, given that we are talking about offset. So let's go hunting real quick. Where was this just an oversight where we accidentally dropped it? What? So let's move that around. Don't care about that. Floating offset, smart hint, combo box, date picker. And I'm wondering if it's just... This might be another situation where... I think this might be a situation where the text box is just... The control doesn't maintain... See, leaves the window running. I think this might be a situation where the hint just doesn't have space and is being constrained to the bounds of the text box. Maybe. So we're going to try this. That does not appear to be the case. So let's go run it down. It looks legitimately like a bug. So themes, this is going to be the wrong project, so we're going to close that and go to the correct project. Under themes, and then we're going to go text box. Nope, try that again. Floating offset, please. I'm guessing that's probably the only usage. Setter value. So I'm wondering if one of these triggers is overriding our values. That is a very plausible explanation for this bug. So let's take a look here. If we go up to the text box and we will do floating offset. 016. That one is, so it's not being overridden by the text box trigger, but let's look at the hint control. Where are you? Hint. Yeah, so parent template trigger is directly hijacking it. So the floating offset is supposed to go from here. However, what's happening is one of these template triggers is overriding these. And probably both of these are problematic, I would imagine. Trying to decide what the appropriate way to handle this is. Because in an ideal world, these setters don't live on triggers. Because when you put a setter inside of a trigger, you are going to change. In fact, it has to be one of these setters where it has a target name of hint. Yeah. Because these setters inside of here are going to circumvent any hints that are set outside. So the issue, though, is we've got kind of a catch-22. We've got the issue of we need to do some floating offset calculations. But we only want to do those and this one I think is easy because we could check the attached property. So this one's easy. We could add another condition here. What about the other one? Oh, past it. Yeah, I see that. This one here. This would need to be pulled into a different trigger. Okay, so the test for this, though, gets pretty easy. So I think the test actually boils down to we only care about this. We don't care about this. This doesn't matter. We'll leave it like that for now. It's really not that important. And actually what we can do is we can flatten this out. This becomes text box. And so do that. So then the assertion down here is rather simple. We want I visual element hint, and we would like to do text box get element, and we'll just hunt it by name. And then, because that'll pull it out from target name, and then we'll grab its floating offset. Let's see, so hint get property. This is something that has been since improved, and I just need to finish the 1.0 update and bring it into the library. So let's see, this will be smart hint floating offset. Await, and then just do value. Get as point. And I don't even remember if this old version of the library has it. And then we want to do assert. Let's see. Oh, this is been doing too much in Microsoft Test, and let's see. So the X we expect to be 1. So offset of X. See that? See that? The new autocode is just so amazing. Figures out what I mean and goes, oh, let me help you with that. So I used to joke with people that Control Period was the autocode button in Visual Studio. With IntelliCode and Visual Studio 2022, I have to come up with a new name for Control Period because Lightbulb just and autocode is no longer the case because my tab key is quite literally using AI to automatically code for me. The tab key is legitimately the autocode button, which is just totally awesome. Worth noting, it also messes up a ton. Sometimes it guesses, and it's not guessing based upon like Roslyn syntax trees. No. It's guessing based on patterns. And so occasionally inserting a pattern doesn't even compile. So just be aware of that. So it's pretty good, and it's awesome. And there are times where I just have to sit back and laugh because it writes whole methods for me. And then there's other times where I'm sitting there going, dear heavens, get out of my way. Keep your fingers off the tab key. Okay, so I'm not entirely sure how this is going to work, but we're gonna try this. I know I'll be able to retrieve the property. I don't know if it's going to be able to serialize a point. Because the fancy serialization stuff that I've done is all on the new version, which, as we just saw, there's a lot of compile errors. There's also compile errors if you leave the process running and it can't go over the top of it. Little things like that, just little things. Okay, so it found the hint. Did it grab the value? It did. Excellent. Can it deserialize as a point? It can. And the assert appropriately fails. Excellent! We have reproduction. We have assertions. We got a bloody test. Excellent. Excellent. Now we fix it. Okay, so what we are saying is we want to make it such that if the user explicitly sets a floating offset, we don't want to do this calculation bit. That's not right. We want to respect any value that the users pass in, which I believe is correct. So let's start with the other one that already has the condition on there. So I want to look at what is the default of this attached property. So it's of type point, default floating point offset. Well, that sucks. Here, C#9, target type new expressions. They're wonderful. The default of this thing grumble. So how can I check if it's been set? Because I'd have to compare against that value. Ugh. So we're gonna run down the path of trying to make that work, and I may end up deciding that I hate my life and don't want to go near this. Both are possible. Let's see. I can type. So we'll make it a property rather than a field, because that's what we need. And then that means we should be able to reference it with an X static. Oh, hang on. So property isn't what we want here. Value is what we want here. So we want X static, and then it was hint assist that was in, right? Yeah. So, and this one wants to check against. Let's see. This is going to be hint assist. Right, hint assist, floating offset. So only if that value is default will we let that through. I don't think. Pretty sure I can get away with that. Which is perfect. I think I can do something. I'm trying to look and see if there's a. Sometimes you can get access. Just don't think this exposes. Sorry. 2-sentence fragments, no clear thoughts. Let's try that again. I think dependency property actually exposes its default on it, but I can't remember. I suppose we can just look at here because there'll be something default. Oh, get default value for type. That's not helpful. It doesn't expose what we want. Because you pass in a default right here into this guy. So I guess you'd end up having to go through the metadata. Yeah, that's a lot more work. Okay, so there's that. Let's go to the other one now. So we're going to do another trigger with the same, or I guess what we'll do is we'll do a multi-trigger. And the multi-trigger will have a condition. And one of those conditions is going to pretty much match this. Just rename that to condition. So we'll put that there. And then the other bit will actually match the one that we just wrote. And that goes there. And then this setter moves down. So now he will not fire unless both of those are handled. Okay. So let's go here and just run the test. That's why we wrote the test, so that we can run it. And you might see it just flash a bunch of compile errors at me. I'm sorry, what? Cannot find type hint assist floating offset. I'm a little confused. It found is floating. Start with this again. I feel like I'm missing something obvious. So let's see. Cannot find type hint assist. wanting that. Oh, this guy is not. Yeah, so that should be like that. Got it. Yep, that makes a lot of sense. I did that wrong. Okay, let's try that again. Turns out when you start refactoring, you should finish refactoring. I should probably spend some time with my Xaml Test library and material design and getting those two both updated. Because I want all my new features. I wrote most of them to make me happy in this project, so I should update so I can actually make myself happy in this project. Test run finished. Let's see. Xaml parse exception. Default floating offset. Static value cannot be resolved to an enumeration static field or static. I'm sorry, what? So line number 282, and so I'm going to go with that's here. 282. Oh look, this one. So it's saying I can't do that. Ah. Okay. So I'm wondering if this converter is the source of my woes, and he should just be updated to handle the default case. Because he could be updated to handle the default case rather than trying to do it in a condition. Is that the same? It is the same one. Why, thank you for suggesting the parentheses. So this guy here is somewhat problematic because he's a multi-value converter that takes in either 3 or 4 values, and the 4th value could be a thickness or a double. Okay. So I'm wondering if we can cheat this guy a little bit, because he's not using his parameter, it doesn't look like. Excellent. I think we cheat with the parameter then. So relative source. Let's see. Templated parent. I'm just going to grab the path right from here. So I think if we do that, and we pass in the floating offset, so rather than trying to circumvent it here, we'll let it still resolve, but we'll do the logic inside of the converter itself. That seems reasonable. So that means that you can move back up to where you were, and I can just paste in the same converter parameter. And so we're going to do this. So if parameter is point floating offset, and floating offset is not equal to hint assist default floating offset, return floating offset. I think what we're going to do is we'll just leave a, I guess we don't need to leave a note here. We've got a test. Let's try it again. Go UI test. Validate my fixes. Binding cannot be set on. Oh, right. Well, that kind of bites. Okay. So. I still think doing it inside of the converter is the right solution. I guess the big question is, how many places is this used? There. Those are all the places it's used. So let's do this then. Let's just move it down into here, and we'll have to go and adjust its access in that array. So let's just hunt it down. Don't care. And I guess the other question is we should probably check all usages of this guy, because he may be used in other places. Yeah, that's what I was worried about. So we probably are going to need to update this in more than just Hoya Bea. Gonna need to update you in a bunch of places. Okay. Let's start with the text box. That's what we know first. Okay, so this will get us to here. Perfect, perfect, perfect. We need to go here. So this is floating scale. So this changes from parameter to be 3. And then this becomes 4. And then run our test on text box. Oh, I must have left converter parameter specified on some of those. Yep. This is another reason why I really like my UI test library. It's really hard for me to accidentally submit something where all the XAML doesn't work, because it walks through everything. It's wonderful. Because all those little XAML runtime errors, as long as I've got a test that exercises all of the templates and the various conditions, it... Goal! Booyah! Okay. So I'm very, very confident that this works, but just to be really sure about it, we're going to put a breakpoint in here just so we can play with it. Because even though this is paused at the breakpoint, this is a separate process. This is going to be hard to see. Tab out. Because I've got nowhere to tab to, and the floating offset is probably outside the window. So let's do this. Margin gets, I don't know, 100. Stop. Let's see, kill execution. Debug again. If we put a big enough margin around it, we should be able to see it. And even though not relevant to the test, yeah. And actually what I will probably do is vertical alignment center. That way things look the way they should in real life. Real life, where real life is virtualized inside of an application that is being styled to look like Google's material design. Naturally. Cool. I like it. That I don't know for certain that that's offset by 1 and up 42, but I'm going to go with it's probably offset by 1 and up 42. Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so. Yeah. Failed to connect, yada, yada, yada. Okay, you're fine. You're fine. Okay, so now we have the issue of I have made changes, but I've only made them in one place. What does this guy use it for? Consider floating hint offset. So this guy comes in. So we're going to let him use pattern matching. We'll let this guy clean it up for me. That is kind of a worthless thing. That's a really long line. Oh, interesting. This is both an I value converter and an I multi-value converter. That's fun. Okay. So in this guy, oh, and he's public too. Oh, yuck. Okay, so where are you getting your values? Values 1, 2, and 3. We're going to do that to begin with, just to guard ourselves against this, because I don't know that I want to address this particular one just yet. I'm going to move this window to the side as a reminder to myself, and we're going to go back to hunting what we were originally doing. So we're going to collapse that, leave that one open. So let's go to the combo box one and go take a look. So this looks to be probably the exact same issue. We're going to put that there. That one there. Okay. That should cover the combo box. Date picker. Most of these are going to be pretty simple because they all kind of take their cues from the text box template. One, two, three. Okay, so that handles the date picker. Password box should be a similar story. Just pin this to the bottom for the moment. Got that one. Got that one. That handles password box. Text box should already be handled. 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 Time picker. So that handles all of those directly. Now the only one left is this guy. So I'm curious to hunt his usages. date picker and time picker. I don't think in either case, because this is just the margin for the button, I don't think in either case this is relevant. So I think we ignore it. But I think what I would like to do is down here explicitly pass a null. Let's see here. So what are you unhappy about? The values coming in here can certainly be null. And we're gonna just do that maneuver on it. That should make you happier. So for people unfamiliar with why it was unhappy there, it's because nullable reference types were turned on, and this guy was previously declaring that it was going to take in an array. The array had to be non-null, and the values inside of it had to be non-null, and I changed it so the values inside the array are nullable, at least for the compiler's checking. Okay, so I think that is good there. Let's come over here. So we're going to create a branch, fix, and then let's go, where'd my 2362? In reality, I probably should have written UI tests in a similar manner for all of the controls. However, the bug was only caught on one of them. And the more I add now, the more I have to fix when I update my library. So we're just going to skip it for now. Okay. When explicit floating offset is set, don't override it. Seems reasonable, and submit. And then let's come over here, pull requests, close Snoop down, new pull request. New. Find it, there we go. Okay, so fixes pound 2362. Boom, this goes into the milestone, pull request. Okay, and unlike my usual MO, I've reached a stopping point right about at the 2-hour mark, which is, for people who normally watch my videos, you'll know that I'm really bad about hitting a stopping point at the 2-hour mark and ending. But I think for now, I'm going to wrap it up there. If anybody is interested in helping out on getting the rest of this release out, these are the other bugs that I want to try and go through and get addressed. The combo box one, just be aware there is a branch sitting out there, though it looks like I haven't pushed it. Why did I not push this? Well, here. Oh, the reason I didn't push this is because that's not the right branch. This one, the fix 2340. So there is some work starting there to try and address the combo box. I think what needs to happen is a little bit of the control template rework. You can catch my previous stream where I started in on that process if you want to see my line of thinking. So if anyone wants to help out on these bugs, it would be greatly appreciated. Otherwise, I'm going to continue chugging through them until all of these things get addressed. My intent is, if no other major bugs kind of crop up with this, I will probably kick out 4.2.0. I don't know if there's going to be a 4.3.0 or if we'll just start working on breaking changes and plowing ahead, because I would like to start getting stuff kind of closed out and done. For anyone who is interested as well, I posted this on my Twitter, but anybody wants to reach me there, I can drop it. You can find me there. People will quickly notice my URL scheme is insert relevant social media.kaboo.dev. So if you want to find me, you can do that. Down on the wiki, though, because it has come up so many times in issues and on the Gitter chat, I went through and wrote up something specific on routed commands, specifically because so many of the dialog host examples leverage the built-in routed commands for opening and closing dialogues. It oftentimes causes confusion, specifically with Xaml Test, when people just copy it, get that small segment of Xaml, and don't realize that they need to wrap their code in a dialog host, otherwise their button just gets disabled. So I tried to write out some docs here. There's nothing new here that Microsoft didn't already cover in the Wpf docs. These Wpf docs are just really long. They have some really great examples and a lot of really great information. I did not cover everything, but I did try to cover the parts that I felt were relevant to most of the people asking this question. So if you don't know what a routed command is and you've been curious how something like this with the button doing like close dialog command or open dialog command works inside of some of our examples, check out the wiki buried down underneath miscellaneous. Tacked it in there just to make it a little bit simpler for people. So with that, I think I'm going to sign off. Tell everybody thank you for coming and hanging out. Happy coding. See everyone next time.